Welcome to the Dreamboat. Remember, you can join the DRI for just £30 a year. You get access to more content, including videos and discounts for our events. It's a great way of finding out more about our work, joining our dream community, and supporting this podcast. Details in the show notes and at driccpe.org.uk/membership.
Welcome to the Dreamboat podcast, a place where we talk about everything dreamy, all you wanted to know about dreams and where you might find some answers. My name is Laura Payne and I'm a psychotherapist and associate of the Dream Research Institute, the DRI, here in London, England. And I'm joined by fellow psychotherapist and TV presenter, Melinda Messenger.
Hello, I'm Melinda Messenger and I'm also part of the Dream Research Institute, and together we're a group of dream weavers and catchers, and we're called the Dreamboat because we are recording our podcast by the canal here at Little Venice in London. So listen out for the ducks.
I love talking about dreams, working with them and exploring them. So join us for this fortnightly series when we'll be looking at dreams, talking to experts in the field and answering your questions.
In the show notes, you will find ways of getting in touch with us and the team via the DRI website and on the standard online places such as Instagram and Facebook. And our social media links are all in the show notes. So let's now get on with the episode.
Today we're going to tackle a rather interesting and I think potentially very complex subject. And the subject is, who is the dreamer? Now, you could say that in its own right is a fascinating question. Surely you would want to reply, well, it's me. Well, is it? Who are we in the dream? And obviously that's a very deep philosophical question. And I would also argue something that's very deeply spiritual.
It's a wonderful question, and I'm so excited, Laura, that today we get to explore it with Dr. Nutan Kondaveti from Quantum Life University in India. And this is really exciting because both Laura and I participated at the International Association of Dreams, Study of Dreams, at the conference at your presentation. It was the final thing that we saw, and we were left really inspired by you and what your wife shared there.
Yeah, so we should say that Dr. Kondaveti works with his wife, Dr. Lakshmi Newton, of both working for, I think it's something you yourself set up, Quantum Life. Tell me, Newton, a bit more about Quantum Life and what you're trying to achieve with it and how dreams has become part of that.
Thank you, Laura and Maria, that I remember meeting you both in the International Association of Scientific Dream conference in Holland. And it was such a beautiful gathering of all the pioneers and all the researchers who came there. And I'm happy that today we are having this conversation. And Dr. Lakshmi could not be here with us today, but I'm going to represent on behalf of even her. And we are doing this work called consciousness work on consciousness, and mainly about spiritual science, the science of soul. Since almost 3 decades, we were introduced to this path by a teacher of meditation. That's how I stepped into this path, and Dr. Lakshmi also along with me. We were classmates in medical university, medical college. So that's how we both together used to explore the dimension of consciousness and the soul. So this is the most fascinating and favorite topic of us. And when we completed our graduation and post-graduation in medical science, we resonated only with, we are passionate about this work. about consciousness. Who are we? And what is the purpose for which we incarnated on planet Earth? And what happens after death?
Wow, big questions there, Newton.
Yeah.
Oh dear. And of
Yeah.
course, how do you see dreaming fitting into that? I mean,
Yeah.
tell us a bit more about your own research into this.
Yeah. So dreaming is one of the most important tools our consciousness uses to discover itself. The soul wants to do a lot of research. And not only when we are awake, we are curious to find out many things about the world, about even the unknown world, the world that is hidden, not known to the five senses. So that world is revealed, the hidden dimension is revealed in the dreams. That's what I uh, believe, and I have experienced it through my own dreaming process. So, one of the ways that very close contact with our consciousness is while we are asleep, when we are going through a very deep, restful state where our consciousness is dreaming. And there are many different aspects of consciousness. So that's why it is very, very fascinating to do a lot of research about this, because why a dream is produced, what part of our consciousness, what aspect of our soul, our consciousness is producing a kind of dream, a healing dream, a revelatory dream, or a prophecy dream, a precognitive dream. So what is happening in the dream? This is the most important topic, which fits into the spiritual domain, spiritual science. Without understanding our dreams, I think somewhere there is a missing piece in the spiritual science. So, because even a person who is not following any spiritual discipline, any path of meditation, but if they are um, having dreams, the dreams will show them the reality that is not seen by five senses, not experienced by five senses. That's what is the most beautiful aspect about the dreams, the connection with spirituality.
I really love that you did this in the talk as well. Something that we are guilty of, I think, in the Western tradition and in psychotherapy is we look at dreams sometimes at, how they serve us, how they serve our waking consciousness, the ego, and we just focus more on how do we integrate that. But you seem to flip it and ask deeper questions about consciousness. Where do these dreams come from? Who is dreaming them? And that to me is a much more interesting and maybe harder to answer question than, what does this dream mean? And does it mean I need to quit my job, or do I need to, play the lottery? Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true, Maria, about who is the dreamer. It's a big question in the spirituality, and even anybody, why I have this dream and who is dreaming actually. Whenever we are dreaming, and there are people who are very lucid dreamers who are awake in the dreaming process. What makes us to be a lucid dreamer, what makes us to remember certain dreams, what makes us not remember certain dreams, what's exactly happening when we are dreaming. This is a really, really important question that a lot of research is needed in this direction, because the spirituality that I was exposed to from India, from the eastern countries, mainly the Himalayas and India, the ancient sciences, which always tells us about there is a state of consciousness when we are dreaming. We achieve that consciousness where it is an altered consciousness. It's not like we are operating with all the five senses. It's a very different faculty within us which is activated when we're dreaming. It's a different state. It's called swapnavastha. Swapnavastha is a dreamer state. And our consciousness is actually doing a lot of discoveries and research during that time. So we call that subtle bodies. So subtle bodies are dreaming all the time.
I really like how you describe that, Newton. I was thinking, I often try to explain it to people that consciousness it's like a radio frequency. You turn the dial and you just a little bit and you're into another state. Dreaming, how much of dreaming is like hallucination, like visions, but they're all slightly different states on the big dial of consciousness. And you mentioned lucid dreaming, because I was actually going to ask you what you feel about lucid dreaming, because then the dreamer feels 9 times out of 10 very much yourself, because you think you have an aspect of control over it. But then a lot of well-known lucid dreamers like Dr. Nigel Hamilton and Robert Wagner, they'll report that there is this other entity that comes into the lucid space that is, I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, your higher self? I don't know. What do you feel about that?
This is what I call as higher bodies, means our own higher consciousness, which has the 7 bodies. Actually, we are 7-body complex, not just physical body complex. So this is like research from India, from the ancient sciences. The second body is the vital body. Also, it produces the dreams. But that kind of dreams from the vital body or the etheric body is not a lucid dream, but more of whatever the energetic blockages that happens to us. To release those blockages in the dream, those certain dreams will come to us. But when our astral body or Sukshma Sarira, it is called Sukshma Sarira, subtle body, when it is activated in the dreams, and a person who is cultivating the dream awareness also, this particular astral body is very much activated. So with that, we will be having more of dreams in the astral worlds, the worlds that are very, very subtle, not gross, but we can move with thought and through time. But there is also a kind of limitation to where we can go, navigate. It's like if you have a vehicle, for example, you have a boat. With the boat, you can actually float on the water body and navigate through the water body. But this vehicle cannot travel in the air, in the sky. In the sky, aeroplane, we need a flight. So in the same way, the astral body has a limitation. It goes through what is called the time space, but the time, only the past. We can go in the direction of the past. For example, we dream about children, and sometimes we dream about our past as if we're meeting our parents, we are meeting our loved ones, or we have different kind of dreams and symbolic dreams, like animal dreams and some of the symbolic dreams. All astral body, mainly about the emotions and the thoughts and beliefs that we have experienced in our life. We experience that. And when we are ready, a lucid dreamer also activates that causal body. Causal body is called knowledge body in India. It's called Vijnanamaya Kosha. Vijnana is a huge body of knowledge. It is developed over many lifetimes, not just one single life. It is like a repository, a library of information of so many lifetimes, all that knowledge that is there. And with this causal body, we dream not only about the past, about the future as well. But there is a limitation again. Yeah. And also we go to the higher frequency dimensions, like a causal worlds, the worlds that are higher, vibratory worlds than the astral worlds. That's where a dreamer has an edge. Like he has such extreme control over where he can go. He chooses to go. I want to go there, particular location, and meet a particular guide or a higher master or a higher being, and so they prepare their itinerary, and while they're dreaming, and they can actually explore a lot. And there is a such experiences people report when they are dreaming in the causal body. And this, once they are ready, even they get the dreams from the fifth body, the supracausal body. It is called the Mahakarana Sharira, means in India in the Sanskrit language. And this is like you have access to even the Akashic records of the humanity. People have prophecies, what's going to happen to the earthquakes 10 years beforehand, or even well in ahead, centuries before. They foresee many things because this is the higher body which can access the Akashic records of not only your individual self, but this Akashic records of the humanity, the mass population and mass whatever the major events that are going to happen on Earth. This is going to be, explored by this supracausal body.
Could you just explain what the Akashic records are for those that don't know?
Okay. Akashic records are like ethereal records. Everything is like as if universe taking pictures, So everything is recorded. Everything is recorded in the like an energetic template, which gets stored. All the data, every thought, every memory, every experience of every human being is recorded, and it can be accessed. So with the fourth body, causal body, we access only our personal Akashic record. Means all the entire history of personal self can be explored. For example, 200 lifetimes back, and maybe my first incarnation, we have access to that personal Akashic record. So, and also how our soul actually decided to come onto the planet Earth. And what is the first moment when soul decided to descend on Earth, to incarnate in a flesh body? So all that is accessible with the fourth body. And the fifth body, supracausal body, with that, we can access the Akashic records, means all that which is recorded, the entire history of human species. Not in that, we access even the entire creation process. People also dream about that. That's why in the ancient scriptures from different countries, it is revealed like the stories are almost like symbolic, and they reveal the same thing. So
yeah, I was thinking of in the Christian tradition and in the Jewish faith, there is the story of Joseph, who's the dreamer for the Egyptian pharaoh. And I was thinking then, that's, as you say, so many ancient traditions tap into seeing the notion of being able to see the future as well as the extreme past through this change of consciousness when we're dreaming. A lot of ancient traditions and religions sort of tap into what you're saying.
I just found it fascinating how you explained that dreams can come from different layers of consciousness. That's an idea that we work with at the DRI as well. Nigel Hamilton's idea of the planes of consciousness. I think in some of them are quite similar. The astral plane, you use different words, the causal. I think I'm really curious then, when you work with someone who brings their dreams to you, how do you work with them? Do you help them identify? Is it worth identifying the plane of consciousness that the dream comes from? And then is it worth evolving up the planes of consciousness?
Yes, it is worth identifying the who is the dreamer, which aspect of the consciousness is dreaming. There is a purpose, there is a function why the consciousness of someone is producing a dream, generating a dream. So that's why it's so helpful for them to know it. So when I conduct sessions where I make them go consciously into the dreaming process again, to the same dream. They put themselves again into the same dream and in an altered state. And for example, if someone is in an astral plane meeting the departed loved ones, so I make them actually re-experience that. We go step by step again, everything in slow motion. This time we pay attention to every detail. If they miss out some details, and now they capture that, they recognize from which plane they are actually dreaming. Now they have an edge, they have a control over the whole process. Now they can also if they need to communicate with the loved ones, and if they need some kind of more in-depth understanding about their consciousness, it all happens that plane that they are dreaming from.
I was thinking, Maria, as you probably were. It's the DRI. It sounds very similar to what we call the waking dream technique, where we do something very similar. We take the dreamer back into their dream and very, very slowly get them to sort of run the film again, but look at everything that they can recall has a significance in some way. And when I've used it with clients, it's such a rewarding process. It really is. It's long and it's slow, and when you're seeing somebody for a particular amount of time in a session, there's a big timing aspect to it as well, because you're entering dream time, and that sort of is how long is a piece of string type of argument sometimes. I think the question I'm left wondering is, do you see dreaming different from meditation? Because a lot of people, when they meditate, particularly on a sort of transcendental basis, would report similar responses, I would have thought.
I don't see any difference between a dream and meditation experiences that are induced or generated during meditation. They're absolutely the same. We reach the same state of consciousness. We access the same information. We access some hidden aspects of our consciousness. It is almost the same. And only difference, subtle difference, is meditation is more of conscious process. And the dream, when our body is totally asleep, mind awake, and we're exploring the unknown reality. And that's a very, very slight, subtle difference between these two, but it is the same. I call meditation as a conscious dreaming. Even in a meditation, someone is also doing the outer body experience and having experiences. They're also dreaming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having played with both states, obviously, it's I think meditation is more powerful, and I think you can access something, possibly because you have a bit more, I'm going to use the word control, but it doesn't feel the right word for what I'm trying to explain. Whereas in the dream state, you say you've got no control very often over any of the senses whatsoever.
Yes, that's very, very correct. Because in meditation, you have such levels of awareness, and you know what you're dreaming, and you have a mastery over your awareness during that moment in meditation. So in the dream, when we are in the deep sleep and some dream is coming to us, in that moment, mostly we go through a kind of shock. If it is first time, some unfamiliar faces we see, and a scary animal appear, weird dream coming to us, and we get shocked in that moment. And so in meditation, it might not happen. People do get these kind of reactions in meditation. Suddenly a spiritual guide, a higher spiritual guide appears in the dream, and suddenly they're jolted, because the high vibratory energy of that higher being who is appearing, it makes them actually go into a numb state, or they react. The system reacts, and yeah, but it's very much more easier in the meditation. It's not, many pieces of the dream we don't remember, we don't have access, and when we come back. But in meditation, we remember every bit of our experience. That's another thing that we can say the difference between these two states.
Something I think about and I link to meditation and dreaming is also psychedelic experiences. I've come to dreaming and this work through psychedelics. And it's interesting to hear you talk about the planes of consciousness and the types of dreams, because I experienced those through psychedelics. And I still remember, it amuses me to the day, that I had an experience of the Akashic records. I didn't know what the Akashic records were. I was in it and I was looking at, exactly as you described, these energetic, for me, they were like files of all the knowledge ever existing. And I remember looking at it and thinking, wow, I could just pull one of these down and I would have it downloaded into my system. And I didn't download anything. And I haven't visited it since. And I'm like, wow, I could have learned Chinese. I remember thinking distinctly, I could learn Chinese, or I could learn a musical instrument. And I was like, that's a cool idea. I'm just not going to do it.
Wow. Oh.
But it seems to be the same. We're accessing the same world of the same planes of consciousness. And it's so profound, I find. It makes me wonder, how do you see the purpose of dreams?
Yeah. The purpose of dreams is to make us to come in contact with ourselves, the real self, to reveal our real selves. Because we are living in a camouflaged world, and a camouflage, the physicality is beautiful, and there's much beyond this physicality, five senses, but there's a different world that is that we also reside, and which is very much is a part of us. And in dreams are showing us the way about our grand self, the self which is not just only caged or imprisoned in the body, but the consciousness is so vast, so infinite, so beyond time, space, dimension, many dimensions. It is so multidimensional. So I believe in it. The dreams are showing us that, how vast beings we are, how eternal beings we are.
It sort of gives me so much hope hearing you discuss dreams like that, that there is this vast consciousness. I mean, in the Western tradition, Jung, in the Western psychotherapy and psychoanalytic tradition, that was Jung's belief, that there was a vast collective consciousness. And I know that, at that time, the Western world was beginning to refine Eastern philosophies. And so he was tapping into something that he had obviously read of, that was sort of very prevalent at the time. But it is a lovely idea that there is something beyond the you and me and the strife that we see, constantly throughout history, very present again now, but we can rise above this. I feel it feels very beautiful.
Yeah, that's very true, Laura. Because we go through so many limitations in the physical plane, in the physical life experiences, and in the dream, the dreamer, our consciousness is actually showing us so many other possibilities. It is opening the doors, many doors. So we come back with such a hope, with so many solutions that's possible. Because sometimes we believe that we are limited by our thoughts, and the limitations in the thoughts is so much affects us in our life. But the dreams, they stretch our beliefs, they make us believe that we are such unlimited beings. such energy, we have access to that levels of energy. With that, one can actually succeed in their life, and it makes this life much better. And then also, mainly, more we discover about ourselves, more we know about ourselves, the suffering in us goes away. And the major part of the suffering is not because something is inflicted upon us by others or world or situations. It's about because we do not know about who we are really. That is a
Nice.
major
Yeah.
suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are actually thirsty to know about ourselves. We want to know who is this? Who is this? Who is sleeping? Who is breathing? Who is dreaming in the
Dreaming.
night? And all. Who is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
That's so
It is,
beautiful.
Yeah.
isn't it?
So
I love
beautiful.
it. So, just tell us just a little bit more about Quantum Life University. How many students do you have? Is it online? Do people come to a building? Just tell us a bit more about how you are operating.
Yeah. So this is a physical, university where we are building on a physical location. And this work began 2010. We started building it. Before that, we were doing more of, the work where we used to conduct many seminars, workshops, trainings uh, across India and the globe. And now we have a physical structures all our, I believe in sacred structures, sacred geometrical structures, like a pyramids. I've been doing a lot of research about the pyramids, and what happens when we are inside a pyramid, the energy of the pyramid affecting the levels of consciousness of us, and people have much more greater lucid dreams. Dreaming power is a dreaming capacity, and capacity to recall the dreams is much more enhanced with the pyramids. So we have a pyramid that is built, and we have classrooms. We have the 1,000 students. We can the structures can accommodate. The buildings can accommodate 1,000 students, and we conduct some seminars and conferences, meetings. It's bigger. Sometimes it's 750 to 1,000 people that come to the campus, some of them. And some are more intensive, more selective people. It's for training programs like the master training. Such programs only around 60 to 100 people, 100 students, they attend. So we do that almost monthly, every month. And this Quantum Life University is inspiration that I received from my own past life. When I learned meditation, I dreamt in meditation, like it's like a conscious dreaming. When I was closed eyes, suddenly I could see certain things, and I did not believe. I thought it's all hallucination, imagination, and uh, I thought, why I'm hallucinating about some other time period? I saw myself as a Buddhist monk, and in this life, I was an atheist. I never believed in anything because my father is a physics scientist, lecturer. So I never believed about God or anything beyond these five senses and this experience that we have here. But that experience changed my life. I had so many questions. I saw myself as clean shaven head, like a Buddhist monk with Buddhist robes in the ancient university. In India, there was a university called Takshashila University, Nalanda University. It's a very ancient, almost 3,000 years. Before Buddha also it was there. But later on, many of the Buddhist monks who are the students of Buddha, who took over, who made it so structured. There was a spiritual science universities. They are very pioneering. Even ancient historians like from China and from different parts of Europe who have visited this place, Takshashila, during that time. They have also those writings about this university. And I have seen myself there.
Wow.
And I
I
was a
love it.
teacher. I was teaching actually. And in this life, I was not a teacher. And so I was teaching about reincarnation and law of karma to all the Buddhist monks. So in that university. So this is what I've seen and explored later on whether this university existed or not. Then it validated, matched. That there were many, these verifiable detailed historical details that are available. So, though I didn't visit that place still now because it's there in Pakistan right now. Because it is all before it was there's no partition between India and Pakistan. It's
Partition.
only one
Yeah, yeah.
country, Bangladesh, Burma, and all these countries are one country before. So, and after that meditation experience, everything changed for me. I wanted to investigate and explore. Is it true? Is reincarnation true? Our soul, when it dies, and do we continue to live and come back again to the earthly body? So with that question, I started doing a lot of research, and particularly in India, we have yoga nidra, some practices. With that, I was using to induce a kind of a meditation state, and I conducting a session for them in a meditation state, turning the memory backwards. My grandmother is the first one who could explore her past life memory, and then she was so fascinated and requesting me when I shared my experience, and she also visited her past life. And but I believe when my second case study, a person who was speaking an unknown language he'd never learned. He knew only Indian languages and English. These are the two languages that he could speak. But he was speaking Russian language. He given the entire description, detailing details about that lifetime in Russia. We recorded the whole session, and with a tape recorder. That time, almost 30 years back, it was tape recorder with a cassette player. So we recorded the session. We made him to write the alphabets of the Russian
The
language. He was
Cyrillic,
never exposed to this language before, and we validated with a Russian expert who confirmed it's a Russian language, and it's very fluent Russian language he was speaking. So in a trance, he's accessing a past life memory. So this is my inspiration. Then I believed in my own experience. Maybe the lifetime I was there in the ancient university, it was true. Then in my meditations further, I discovered my own purpose of life. Why I incarnated again, why I came back again. What is the unfinished unfinished business of my past life? I felt in that life, it's my dream to see completely that university to flourish, to serve many students, to impart the wisdom to as many students as possible. But that time, the university was burned because there was a time, I think from Afghanistan, there was invasion. The country was invaded, and they burned the libraries. And in front of me, all that ancient university was completely burned. And it is unfinished business for me. I felt I have to do this, and I have to rebuild a spiritual science university. Not just only spirituality. Without science, it won't make any sense. Scientific spirituality is very important. So that's where this entire quantum life university. That's why I added the name quantum. Quantum is like a quantum physics, which is also like through very scientific research, we are able to validate all the spiritual mystical findings of the mysticism in different parts of the globe. So there's a quantum life university inspiration.
It's really beautiful and so profound what you shared. And I think of all the people who ask themselves in therapy when they work with us, for example, of what's my purpose? What should I be doing in this life? And they see it as searching outside themselves. But what you're sharing here is just learn to listen to your dreams, to your visions, learn to go within and look at it. It just came to you, this profound mission and all the knowledge that you've accumulated in your past lives.
It's lovely. Newton, very, very lovely. Thank you for sharing that. And it feels like a a good place probably to end for today. Thank you so much, Newton, for joining us. And we really wish you and Quantum Life much success. And I'm going to go away and work out who I am next in my dream. Well, that was quite a journey, wasn't it, Maria?
It reminds me of how you and I felt after we saw them at the Dreams conference, and we were kind of like, whoa, that was something else.
I love it because I studied philosophy and I was always very interested in the philosophy of personhood. And personhood is, how do you see yourself continually over time and space? And one of the definitions of knowing that you are a person and you are in this, what we would say perhaps, plane of consciousness. But you then meet somebody like Newton and you think, wow, who am I really? And that's what dreams do to us. They sort of turn our sense of self really on our heads.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you experience yourself doing something you would never imagine in a dream, or you feel feelings that you've never felt in a dream before, it's just so special. And even to know that there are multiple levels of consciousness, that maybe you're just accessing one or two. What are you doing with your life? Right? Why aren't you experiencing the deeper aspects of life?
Like you, I have heard him speak before and I have been fascinated, but it's the first time I've heard that he was an atheist before he had that dream that opened all of this up. I just think that is such a powerful point of his work. It's not like it's sort of part of his cultural background or anything like that. He was very firmly a scientist.
Yes, and he comes from, I think he said his dad was a physicist. He comes from science. I really admire that because I've been a bit in that position. I used to be an atheist, and to come to this work in a short space of time, I think you ask yourself different kinds of questions as a former atheist or a scientist that really put the theory to the test. And then, his scientific approach to something that's really reflective, meditative, mystical now. You can sense that it's grounded and it's really powerful.
Yeah. I also, by the way, I loved your comment about the Akashic records that you went to when you were on psychedelics. I thought that was so interesting. And I was thinking, yes, if I went to the Akashic records, what would you pull out? And I was thinking of what we did right at the start of the Dreamboat. Dave and I did an episode on famous people who dreamt inventions and things like that. And we had people like the guy who was behind the Singer sewing machine. And how much of that is going to a central body of information, pulling it down in your dream and then thinking, hallelujah, or whatever, or eureka, this is my answer to my problem, or this is my invention. And I find that bewitching, actually. Bewitching.
It's bewitching, and I love it when people like these scientists, these inventors, get these downloads in their dreams, and there are so many examples of this, and they've changed the world for all of us, and they just learned how to listen. And I think I still am a bit annoyed with myself that I realize I'm in this place. I didn't even know what it was. I knew it was all knowledge, and come on, Maria. I mean, just one file,
One.
Some financial education, a practical skill, that would have been fine. It didn't need to be mystical.
Exactly. Well, it's been fun, and thanks very much indeed for joining again today, Maria. Really enjoyed it, and everybody, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it as well, and go off and work out who you are in your dreams tonight. So, thank you for joining us for this week's episode. Don't forget to like us and leave comments on your favourite podcast platform. As I'm sure you know, that's the way we build an audience for the Dreamboat podcast, and also to spread news about dreaming. And as we said, there are many ways you can share your dreams at the DRI, the Dream Research Institute.
Yes, we have courses, events, and workshops, and we want to hear from you. So check out the show notes for links, or find us on Instagram and on our Facebook page and on our website at driccpe.org.uk. And if you want to explore your dreams further, or you would like to support us, you can join the DRI as a member for just £30 a year. As a member, you will get discounts for all of our events and short courses. You'll get our newsletter with latest dream research news, and we'll also be adding other special member benefits during the year. Of course, members' dreams will always be given preference for reading on the podcast Dream of the Week slot. So go to the link on the show notes and become a DRI member today. Keep dreaming and keep sharing your dreams.